Hello and welcome to week 81 of Album Club. First week back in the uploads, as I put in the text before. My audio is re-recorded after the fact, so you guys get to hear, a little. Hello and welcome to week 81 of Album Club. This is the first week in our 2022 album rotation. Everybody has to pick an album from 2022. This week's album was chosen by our very own Lauren, and the album is Genesis by Baby Bugs. Lauren, tell us why you chose the album and your overall thoughts.
I thought this was a really cool album idea. I never really listened to this album like fully, so I just thought that this was like a good opportunity to choose this album for right now. Um, and yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was like it reminded me of teenage angst. And Melanie Martinez, if she was goth or punk or whatever. And yeah, that's it. I would give this an 8.4.
All right, 8.4. Thank you very much, Lauren. On to Justin.
I kind of like this album. Uh, I definitely agree that it has that teenage angst vibe. For some reason, when listening to it, it gave like Scott Pilgrim vibes because of the way the rock and the vocals were. It kind of reminded me of I forgot her name, but whoever. Well, I also forgot the actress's name. That's crazy. Um, you know who I'm talking about? The person that's Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. Yeah, her, whoever she was. Yeah. Reminds me of that like band from Scott Pilgrim. But overall, I like the vibe of this a bit. I like didn't mean to mute there. I like a lot of the vocals and lyrics. I think it's interesting. Um I did leave wanting more though. I feel like I don't know if this is a solo project or what the whole deal was with it, but I feel like in the drums and the guitar, it was a little simple at times, whereas the vocals start like to pick up and go hard, and all that the drums and guitar was like get a little bit louder. If they could like actually like add some complexity to that at those times, I feel like it would heighten this album a lot more than it is, and like actually add depth to it. Um, and make some of these songs like absolute bangers. But I kind of just overall enjoyed it. Just wanting a little bit more out of the guitars and drums at times. I give it like a 6.7.
All right, 6.7. Thank you, Justin. On to Reaping.
I gotta say I do enjoy most of like any kind of rock. I enjoy the rock genre a lot, and this is no exception. I did enjoy this. First of all, the vocals and the instrumentals are great. I do like that both of them they have the balance in between the vocals and the instrumentals. None of them overlap each other because there are some bands and some songs out there that there's vocals that are really high and the instrumentals are really low, and of course there's the opposite where the instrumentals are like really high and the vocals are like really low, so they sound muffled in a way. But I do enjoy this balance between both. Nothing sounds too overbearing in a way, even though it's like kind of ironic because it's rock, but it's nothing like too much on one another. So it's pretty balanced in that way. Yeah, as I said, vocals are great, instrumentals are really good, actually. Um, I do enjoy from the half part of the album after it, like the second part, a lot more. And I do like that they have like songs like in between, like songs that she only sings with a guitar and stuff, and then a really like crazy song happens later on. It's like we got rock and then like singing, then rock singing. It's nothing like too much of rock. Because the thing is that if you take those tracks off, the album can be feeling a little bit repetitive in a way. But of course, every song there, like in between like that, it's like a really good like palate cleanser. You know what I mean? So I do enjoy that. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll give it like a 7.4.
All right, 7.4. Thank you, Reaping. On to Ryder.
Sorry, I thought I was on Discord on my phone and I couldn't figure out how to unmute, but I'm on my computer, so it's different. But I'm looking at my phone. I think yeah, similar to what Reaping said, I think I really enjoy that there was a lot of back and forth in terms of the rock and the singer-songwriter aspects. I do really like how there are some songs, such as like Dress Up Doll, that were not fully in one corner or the other. Because I know there are songs on this album that are very singer-songwriter or very like punk or rock. And I really like that there are some songs that are kind of in the middle somewhat. So it's not like a full back and forth between this is like a soft song, this is like a punk song. I like that there's a lot of difference even within certain songs that might be I don't want to say like perceived as punk or perceived as singer-songwriter, but I like that there's not just full one or the other and that it's not full just back and forth. I like that it's kind of mixed throughout and there is, as being said, like palette cleansers in there. I think this was a really, really fun album to listen to. And it didn't I don't know how to describe this. It like I know it's a short album, but it didn't feel like a short album, but in like a good way. I think that there was a lot of stuff that happened in this album that made it feel like it wasn't a 26-minute album, but in like a way that I appreciate. And I think that is really cool, and I think that's not necessarily easy to do. I remember talking to I remember talking with Lauren about this album before I listened to it. Lauren said that it was Baby Bugs reminded her of Melanie Martinez, and I couldn't remember who Lauren had said they reminded of. Um, Also, the artist used they them. I meant to say that earlier. I don't know if anyone said that yet. But just for the record.
Actually, I looked it up on their SoundCloud. It says they, it, any pronouns, so any pronouns are fine.
Oh. Okay, word. I saw on Google that this said yeah. Oh, but I couldn't remember who Lauren had said they sounded like. And then I was listening to it and I was like, who does this sound like? Oh, this kind of sounds like Melanie Martinez. Oh, right. Yeah, no, Lauren said it was Melanie. Thought that was really funny. I'm glad we both got there. But yeah, I thought this album was super fun. And I don't really like the punk genre in this sense that much. So I didn't like those songs as much as the singer-songwriter ones, but I did really like the back and forth and like the dichotomy in this album. So I guess I would give this like a solid 8. I thought it was really fun and I'm definitely gonna check out more of the stuff.
All right, a solid 8. Thank you, Ryder. On to me. Overall, I liked the album. I thought it was really solid. I think it was very consistent, as well as I liked the play with the softer and the heavier sounds, the more punk heavy tracks, as well as the more singer-songwriter. I thought that the vocalist was very good. They had a very powerful voice in the punk tracks that really hit, and then a very soft voice that was more emotional and on the singer-songwriter tracks. I also thought that their lyrics were very interesting and like compelling. They were very like intense and heavy, and they really hit deep, especially on the slower tracks, but also on the faster ones. For example, the first track, banger lyrics. Immediately off the rip, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is cool. This is some good shit." But yeah, my issues that I take with this album are it's like it doesn't bring much new to the table in the sounds that it plays with. So like that sort of early 2000s aesthetic that like it really really encapsulates it. I legitimately, while this album rotation was happening, had to look and be like, what year did this album come out? Like, was this like 2002, 2004? And then I remember this rotation is specifically for 2022 albums. I was like, oh. Oh. Because it really just, they didn't really bring anything to the table that's like too different. That being said, it still sounds good. This is still a great sounding album, and it's fun to revisit that sound. But I just think when you pull so strongly from like a sound that's already been done this many years later, I like when you bring some new things sonically to the table. Just make it sound more like an updated version, like you're borrowing the idea but making it fresh. But yeah, overall I enjoy this album. All that being said, I'm gonna give it a 7, and I will say my original score was a 7.2. I think I was being a little too generous, and I still think a 7 might be a tinge too generous. But I will say I had fun with the album, and I enjoyed it, and it is consistently good. So I will give it a 7. All right, on to Simon.
This was kind of a weird one for me. This album mixes it up a lot, which is normally something I'm a huge fan of, but here I didn't really like that. It felt like there were a lot of sounds they wanted to explore, but I was left kind of disappointed with a lot of them and wish they kind of would have stuck to some of them more. Uh, I don't know. It's like there were some really good ideas, and it just felt like a lot of them weren't fully fleshed out to me. But there are a lot of things I like about it. I did not like the lyrics too much, so I enjoyed this a lot more when I was just listening to the sounds more than I was paying attention to the lyrics. Uh, there are some good songs on here, but there's just a lot that I was not a huge fan on, so I just don't know what to think. I think overall I'm slightly favorable on it. I'm gonna go with a 6-1.
All right, a 6.1 from Simon. Thank you, Simon. On to Ethan. That's right, Ethan was taking his dog out. So we are going to move on to favorite tracks.
So I have like 3 top favorites, and like they're the first 3, but I think Pretty for You is my favorite one because it's just like, I don't know, it's so gentle and it's like smushed in between like the 2 like heaviest songs I feel on the album. And that's it.
Thank you, Lauren. On to Justin.
I like Dress Up Doll.
Thank you, Justin. On to Reaping.
I'm gonna say my favorite is which one is it? Oh yeah, Cannibal Girlfriend. It slaps. Pretty good.
All right, thank you, Reaping. On to Ryder.
I just know that this song is gonna make me absolutely sob when, like, if I'm at all vulnerable. Tapeworms. It got me, dude. It got me like on the verge, and I was like pretty sound in my emotional state. So I know this song's gonna like break me like next week.
Thank you, Ryder. On to Simon.
My favorite was Angels, and it's solely because it sounds like the theme song to The Leftovers Season 2, which is one of my favorites ever. So I just really like that one, but I also like Cannibal Girlfriend a lot.
All right, thank you, Simon. Since Ethan is still not here, we'll move on to least favorite tracks. Let's go ahead, Lauren, start us off.
I would say Cannibal Girlfriend. It just didn't really do anything for me. Um, but it was still really hard to think about least favorite, but yeah.
All right, thank you, Lauren. On to Justin.
Hmm. Uh, I honestly have a hard time. I think like there's like a lower tier that I'm just not a huge fan of, but I don't hate any of them or like dislike any of them. I'd probably say Puppeteer. It's just like left me wanting more.
All right, thank you, Justin. On to Reaping.
I'm gonna have to say Puppeteer also. Wasn't feeling it.
All right, thank you, Reaping. On to Ryder.
Mine's also gonna be Puppeteer.
All right, thank you, Ryder. On to me. My least favorite is definitely Cannibal Girlfriend. That song is so corny and so bad. I will say the verses are passable. It's just the chorus is like really, really abysmal. It sounds like something you'd hear in like a Disney Channel original movie or like a Nickelodeon original movie, and not at all in a good way.
How is that a diss?
Yeah, what?
I distinctly remember Lauren saying that as a compliment earlier in this rotation, or not this rotation, but club.
Yeah, well, it's not a compliment to me. It's a diss to me.
I meant it as a compliment.
And I do not. Also, it distinctly reminds me of a song from the Fred Heads in Riverdale called "Dream Warrior," the episode where they played G&G and they made music.
Dude, you can't say that.
It's like almost 1-to-1. It's like the same song. I swear to God, listen to it.
I don't know. Let's.
Just listen to it. It's
I don't
1-to-1.
know.
I don't know about that, but it's a funny comparison.
Well, that's enough from me. On to Simon.
I'm gonna go with tapeworms.
Wait, what? Simon?
I don't know. I didn't really like that song. I was not into it.
I'm shocked that you of all people didn't like it.
I found like the melody of it kind of annoying. It got on my nerves. It was pretty grating.
Huh.
All right, Ethan, if you're back, please do your everything.
Yeah. Sorry, Mac peed on a little bit inside, so it was an emergency. Fi- so favorite? Do you guys already do favorites? Oh yeah, I didn't give anything. Um, I don't know exactly like who I left off on, but I know Justin's point about it being a little simple was something that I kind of agreed with. But I don't think necessarily simplicity is bad. It was kind of just like a little bit of a didn't get me as excited as it could have. But vocally, they're incredible. I love the sound of their voice, especially in songs like Pretty for You. Overall, it was a pretty good album. There were some songs as well that I kind of wasn't like. I thought that I had already heard that song. So, for example, I think Autotheist and Cannibal Girlfriend, they sound almost the exact same at the start. And again, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I could have gone for a little bit of something different, at least in that tiny regard. Overall, pretty solid overall. I'll go with a 6.8. Favorite track, I already mentioned it, Pretty for You. I just love how their voice sounds in that. And then least favorite, I'll probably just go with Puppeteer.
All right, thank you, Ethan. Before we find out who's doing the next album, does anyone have any closing remarks about this one?
They have a gorgeous voice. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
I don't think the
Like-
album cover works as like a Spotify cover because it's really hard to read the text. I'm sure it looks better in person.
All right, and at this point, we spin the wheel and it lands on Ethan. Ethan, what album are we listening to next week?
Oh, sweet. I'm picking something super out of the ordinary.
Ooh.
Let me grab this real quick. It is not, but it's really funny because in my Spotify in my YouTube music freaking yearly wrap up, Dame Dollar showed up as like my second most listened to album, which I find funny because I guess I just never used the actual YouTube music app. But I am going with Level Select by Pizza Hotline.
All right, thank you, Ethan. Level Select by Pizza Hotline is what we'll be listening to next week. Thank you for watching. If you finish this, I'm sorry that the pacing is probably really awkward because of gaps where I talk, and I talk a lot. But be sure to tune in next week and listen to Level Select by Pizza Hotline so you can give us your thoughts and leave your thoughts below on Baby Bugs' Genesis. Everybody say bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Huggies.